The Carolina Hurricanes are down in South Florida tonight to take on the Florida Panthers in their second game of the preseason. Find out what you can expect from the team tonight in this episode of Locked On Hurricanes.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey there, Caniacs. I'm your host, Jared Ellis, and you're listening to Locked On Hurricanes on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Hurricanes your first listen of this Thursday afternoon. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes. Myself on Twitter at Jared Ellis _96. And subscribe to the show on YouTube and click that notification bell so you know when new episodes come out. And as I mentioned, the Hurricanes are now in South Florida to take on the Florida Panthers. I was questioning whether or not this game would frankly even happen because of the hurricane going through the southeast right now. It'll probably be affecting Saturday's game as well whenever these two teams run it back here in Raleigh. So that's going to be very interesting to see how things shake out in terms of the weather and how that ends up affecting these games in the near future. Not just the Hurricanes, but all the teams in the path of the storm. So that's going to be very interesting to see how that happens. But it's looking like this game is going to be ready to go. And, it's going to be a different game than the last game. Last game, it was a very veteran heavy lineup. The Hurricanes ended up winning that one 5-1. Obviously, a lot of guys, looked really good. Yesterday, Kotkaniemi looked good. Dylan Coghlan looked good. Freddie Anderson, he looked to be back and ready to go for the regular season. And, I think that was more of what we're aside, from a few guys here in this lineup here tonight. I think that's going to be more of what we see for the regular season. This is kind of this game tonight. It's going to be a completely different ball game. It's not like, oh, we're running, that first game back or something like that. That's not the case here today. And this is the prospect group. We talked about, when those groups were first announced. The one group is very, very veteran heavy. The other one is very, very prospect heavy. So we're getting to see that prospect group tonight. And I think that this is going to be whereas like the first game was more of shaking off-season rust and bad habits and stuff like that. I think that this one right here is really what your preseason is about. I mean, obviously, the first game, that's uh, there as well, shaking off that rust and whatnot. But, really getting a look at your prospects and those guys and seeing what they bring to the table, because you can only, like, see, like, so much, like, on film and whatnot, really getting out there, getting to the game and watching this stuff play out. I think this is gonna be a really good, measuring stick for these guys tonight to really see what they're bringing to the table. Some of these really young guys, how their development is coming along. The veteran guys there, like a Calvin DeHaan, Ryan Dzingel, Derek Stepan, those guys, can they, make that opening night roster and stuff like that. I think this is gonna be the game where like you really see like more like coming out of it. I thought we may see some roster cuts after that first game. But honestly, looking back at that, I don't think that was a good call on my part of thinking that because it was such a veteran heavy game. And this would be the game where you see, all right, this is what this guy brings to the table. This is what he doesn't bring, and this is when we'll see moves being made in terms of trimming the training camp roster down. I think that that's what we can potentially see after this game, and we'll see what happens. Again, it's a very prospect heavy lineup tonight, and it's not. There's gonna be names there that folks recognize. Obviously, there's gonna be names there that folks don't recognize. So it's gonna be a very interesting game. Again, this isn't gonna be a repeat of the last game. That's not gonna be the case here, and this is gonna be one where I think you're gonna see mistakes made out there, and these are guys that aren't. A lot of these guys aren't used to playing at the NHL level, so we'll see how things end up shaking out tonight. And Rod Brind'Amour did address the media after morning skate this morning, and we will hear just what he had to say right after this quick break, folks. Now, folks, of course, the football season is underway right now. Whether you are a Panthers fan, Patriots fan, whatever it may be, BetOnline is the place to go for all of your sports wagering information and needs. BetOnline has you covered, whether it be for pro football, whether it be for college football. We have that big game between NC State and Clemson this weekend. So, of course, betonline.net is your number one source for all of your football betting info this season. So, find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sports wagering information with live betting and up to the minute scores for every sport out there. It's the fastest and easiest way to check on all of your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, golf, wrestling, and whatever you want. So head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Now, folks, as I mentioned, Rod Brind'Amour did address the media after morning skate this morning, and this is what he had to say.
There you go. Probably a pretty important game for some of the younger guys tonight, but also those defensive pairings continue.
Well, let's first look at some guys, so it's important. We talked earlier about everybody's kind of in a little bit different spots on how they're getting out of this game. What does it mean to them? And for us, again, getting to see some looks at new guys and then for them to show what they got, because obviously there's some competition there.
You talked about the other day being a little bit of a mismatch with, the lineup you put out and the lineup they put out. It might be a little bit of that tonight too. Is it hard to evaluate guys when you see that? Yeah.
It's easier because the game should go one way or the other, but if it doesn't, let's say it works in our favor, then someone's playing well, someone's standing out. So it actually can, at times make it a little easier.
Same plan for Rance as you had for Anderson. You want to give him the whole.
Yeah, they need the games. I mean, we're I want to get him at least a couple starts here and through this preseason. So that's the plan.
Competition, fourth line, still continues.
Competition in a lot of spots. I mean, obviously we know, you can pretty much pencil in some of these other guys, but then there's spots available, and we got to figure it out. So that's what the games are for.
What do you look at on the power play on a night like tonight when maybe your top guys aren't out there? Are you just looking for guys to execute the way you want them to execute?
Yeah, I mean, you're always looking for. We always say let's do it right, and we obviously these guys haven't practiced together. They haven't done anything together, so that's going to be a huge disadvantage. But we still have, we've talked a little bit about the things we need to try to do, and then you're just looking to see if they're getting the message on all our systems. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be a talent gap on certain things, but are they trying to do how we want? That's kind of what you're looking for.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, Rod.
Smooth flight.
So, as Rod mentioned, yeah, the lineup that's going out tonight. In the last game, the Hurricanes had the very veteran heavy lineup, whereas the Lightning didn't. That's the opposite this time around. The Hurricanes are rolling with the prospects this time, and yeah, as he mentioned, and as I mentioned, this is going to be a game where you're really coming away with stuff of where guys are at. And, like you said, this is going to be easy game to evaluate because it's supposed to go the Panthers' way. They're rolling with the veterans and we're not. So, if the Hurricanes are making a game, that means, like you said, that means folks are doing stuff right. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how things go tonight. Again, it's not something that I put a whole lot of stock into, of whether or not the Hurricanes win or not, because again, it's preseason. As he said, this is what these games are for, to see where these guys are at, especially like the prospects that you have right now and that are going out there tonight. If things go well, that's what these games are for. You're supposed to be having these games to see, where these guys are at and what they could potentially bring to the table come, October 12th for opening night. It's what these games are for. And, obviously Freddie Anderson, played the full 60 in the last game. And that's the plan for Auntie Ronta tonight. We knew that was going to be the case. Uh, we had talked about that already. Rod had talked about that already, of them kind of evening up the starts of, guys getting, the even number of starts here in the preseason, getting any rust shaken off and, whatever it may be from the off season. But that's what you expected out there. I think that, this is going to be an interesting game tonight. As I mentioned, you've got a lot of prospects out there. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on a few of these guys. You look at a couple of them and a couple of these names here. That, as Rod mentioned, some names you can go ahead and pencil in that'll be on the team come opening night. Other guys, other positions, you're kind of having to figure things out of what's going to be the case. And I think that this is going to be a game where the guys that are in those position battles, this is where we're going to see them fighting for those positions. Because again, game one was one where we saw a lot of the guys that you figure are going to make the roster playing. This is a game where it's the opposite. The guys that are fighting for their job, essentially, this is where you're going to be seeing them. So I think, some of these guys, they're really going to try to show out. And, you got both guys that are on PTOs here tonight as well. And, what we'll do here in just a second after this next break is we're going to go down the roster for tonight. And I'm going to talk about a few guys that I think you really need to be watching tonight. And we'll talk about that right after this. Now, folks, diving into the roster for tonight, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of names here that folks aren't going to recognize. Plain and simple, it's going to be the case with these preseason games with all these prospects. It's going to be the case. So, but there are names here that folks are going to recognize, and names that I think that you really, really need to be watching tonight because these are guys that could potentially make that roster. I think your top line, uh, earlier, Walt Ruff tweeted out line combinations that was at practice. Obviously, these can change come game time, so do keep that in mind. But I think that top line, or really the top two lines, are all guys that could really, really make the roster. Guys that are going to make the roster. Obviously, there's a couple of these guys, but Jordan Martinook, Jack Drury, Andre Kasha on that top line. Obviously, Martinook and Kasha, they're going to be on the opening night roster, so they're going to be there. A lot of folks are penciling Jack Drury in to be on the team come opening night. he looked ready, whenever he was here, at the end of 2021, whenever everyone was out for COVID, and, he looked great, and he did great things in the AHL as well. So, a lot of folks think he's ready to make that jump. I think he's ready to make that jump, but this is gonna be a really good measuring stick of, is he? Is he ready to make the jump? Yes, it's just preseason, but, you're looking that's top line for tonight, or at least, yeah, what it's looking like. Is he ready for it? And, the talent is there, yeah, but, is he ready to make that jump? I think he is, but that's really gonna be a name to watch. I think, obviously, Andre Kasha. That's gonna be a fun one to watch, yeah. As I've mentioned in the past, years ago, me and JD from the Ducks show talk about a potential trade there, to bring him into, the Hurricanes organization, what it would take. Now he's here, so that's gonna be a fun one to watch. He's a guy that's kind of slipped through the cracks this offseason of, he's not grabbing, as much attention as some of the other guys. I think, you look on the second line, Ryan Dzingel, that's gonna be one to watch, and, he's on that, that 1-year, two-way deal, and I think that he's the guy that, should he have a good preseason, a good camp, he could make that opening night roster, maybe as an extra, maybe they're on that bottom line, but that's gonna be an interesting one to watch. Again, he's gonna be playing in the organization, and I think even if he doesn't make opening night, we're gonna see him at some point this season when someone inevitably, goes down with injury. I think Dzingel, would be one of the first call-ups. Derek Stepan, another guy, he's on a PTO, right now, and, he was on the team last year. He did really, really good last year, and, as Rod mentioned the other day after training camp of, Stepan knows, he's not, the player he was, years and years ago. So, he knows his role, and I do think that the Hurricanes, should probably end up offering him a contract. I've talked about whether or not it'd be a one or a two-way deal. That's going to be interesting. Is a two-way something he'd be interested in? And Ryan Dzingel obviously was, but is Derek Stepan interested in that? Is Calvin DeHaan interested in that? Stefan Nazin, another guy, monster AHL season last year. Does he make the jump up this year? Because he's another guy like Jack, looked great whenever he played for the Hurricanes last year, when everyone was out with COVID. So he's another guy I think you really, really need to watch, tonight. Those pretty much just those top two lines in general. Watch those because those I think are really going to be the names that are going to be circling around. Jamison Rees, he's on the left wing of that third line. That's another one. He looked really good in the prospect showcase, and he really good in the AHL as well. Do I think he makes opening night roster? No, I do not. But I think, again, when folks end up going down with injury, he is a guy that could potentially, get that phone call to pack his bag, come down to Raleigh or wherever they may be. And then, on the defensive side of things, we do have the pair of Dylan Coghlan and Jalen Chatfield coming back. They looked really, really good in that first game against Tampa. And I'm not surprised they're running it back, with this pair because they did so well. And as I've said, this is a pair you could realistically end up seeing this year. I think Dylan Coghlan is making a great case for himself to be on the team, not get put on waivers or anything like that. And yeah, he's doing great. And because he was a guy, kind of looking at that third pair, like, all right, who's in, who's out, what's the deal going to be here, because there's so many guys vying for those two, say 3 spots, with the extra. And what do they do? He's, making a great case for himself. He's Jalen Chatfield, as we'd said before, obviously looks really, really good. And another one is, of course, Calvin DeHaan and Ethan Bear. DeHaan also on a PTO. So we'll see how things end up shaking back for him. This is going to be the first time we're seeing him and Dezingle back in Hurricanes uniforms since returning to the organization. So that's going to be fun for fans, guys that enjoy, or folks that enjoyed watching these guys, excuse me. So that's obviously going to be really fun for fans, seeing these guys suit back up for the team, even if it is just in preseason action. But DeHaan, another guy that I do think you could realistically see him playing for the team this year. And Ethan Bear also slotting in alongside Calvin DeHaan, another pairing that you could realistically see this year. So we'll see how things end up shaking out tonight. And of course, Antti Raanta in net. You knew that was going to be the case. No surprise there. But I think we're going to have a lot to talk about after this game of what the Hurricanes end up doing. Obviously, it's not a must win or anything like that. This is one where you just want to see these guys go out there and play good hockey. We're going to be able to come away with some good takeaways from this game. All right, this guy is ready. This guy isn't ready. They're doing great at this. They're doing bad at this, whatever it may be. We're going to have a lot to talk about. And we'll talk all about that stuff in the next episode of Locked on Hurricanes, where, again, we break down this game from tonight. So in the meantime, make sure you follow Locked on Hurricanes on Twitter and Instagram at LO_Hurricanes, and myself on Twitter at JaredEllis_96. Subscribe to the show on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you can get notified whenever new episodes come out. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode.